Thank you everyone for joining us today here at Levittown Public Library's Egoscue class with Kimberly. Today is Monday, June 28th, 2021, approximately 11 a.m. Go ahead, Kim.
Thank you very much again, Levittown Library, for hosting me weekly. Very good, very good. For those of you that might be new, my name is Kim, and Egoscue is just synonymous with posture. We're going to be doing moves today that help stimulate your body so that it can auto-correct itself. The posture is not good, posture is not bad, but if you are showing up today, maybe with something that looks a little bit like this, you know, to your eye, something's a little bit off. You might see some people like this, some people like this, you know, something's a little off. So we're going to give you guys some work today. Some of the moves are going to be more difficult. Some of them will be less difficult. I'll do my best to give you as many modifications as I can. We are going to do some work on the wall laying down. I've been very bad not giving you moves like that, and now I want to give them to you. So for those of you that can't get on the floor, you can definitely get on a bed. I love it if you get on the floor because the floor is hard and it will trap your body, forcing it to work in a different way. But if you can't get on the floor, all right, I'll accept a bed. Remember, there's a difference between can't and won't. Difference between can't and won't. So if you won't get on the floor, may I suggest that you try to get on the floor. So here's where we're going to start out. I'm going to lay on the back. We're going to do abduction, adduction with the knees. So I'm laying flat on the floor and I'm bringing my legs. Let me turn to the side so you guys can see before I face away from you. I'm bringing my legs to as close to a 90-degree angle as I can. So my hips are right underneath my knees. Now, some of you might need a pillow underneath your head because you might be in a position where your shoulders are so rounded forward that your head is looking behind you. If that's you, put a pillow underneath your head. So this is where I'm going to stay, 90 degrees. Put your feet on a door or on a wall like I have. And now I'm going to set up my feet. You want them to be hip distance, and you also want them to be parallel. As we go through this motion, your feet are going to end up everting out to the sides. You don't want that. So every few reps, check your feet, make sure they're pointing straight up. So I'm putting my heels in the same line, same height as my knees. Remember, 90 degrees. I'm just going to drop my knees open. So I'm coming to the outside edges of my feet. I'm going to drop my knees in together, let the knees touch. I don't want you to start pivoting on your heels and taking the foot completely off of the wall with the exception of the heel. So we are keeping the edges of the feet on the wall. There's contact. My pinky toes, and then my pinky toes and my big toes. I want you to drive this from your hips. Feel the area around your hip joint and the muscles around the hips moving. That's where you're engaging from, initiating from. This is adduction, abduction. Remember, double check your feet, make sure that they're staying parallel. And again, my feet are hip distance. That's a little bit wider than my fist size between my big toes. It's also a little bit wider than my fist right between my knees. So this is about hip distance, everybody. If you look at it, it's about the length of a dollar bill between the center points of your knees and between the center points of your ankles. Adduction, abduction. I'm going to stay here for another minute. Usually when we count these out, it might be 3 sets of 10, might even do 3 sets of 20. But today we're going to be doing it for about 2 minutes, no counting. You can go slower than I am, but I don't want you to go faster than I am. Don't do that. Don't go faster. You want to stay in control. And there's a brief pause in each position. So as I open up, I'm not bouncing back and forth between the two. I'm pausing at the top and at the bottom of the position to let my body, give my body some time to adjust and start to recruit the muscles that I'm going after. Anybody else feel that in their groin area, inner thigh area? Not even squeezing hard, it's just a touch. And I'm feeling it already. Maybe you guys are too. Okay, our next move is a little bit tougher. And this is actually a routine that I stole from an anterior tilt routine. It's the beginning of the anterior tilt routine. This one's tougher, and this might not be doable for everybody. We're going to cross the right ankle to the left knee, and the wall is trapping us. Now, here's where we might go a little bit off. When I draw my right knee towards the wall using my hip muscles, my left hip starts to shift up. Does everybody feel that? It's like your whole pelvis does this ding dong over to the side. I don't want you to do that. I want you to come back, put your feet on the wall, feel how balanced your pelvis is. And turn to the side so you can see what I'm doing from this angle. My feet are on the wall. My hips are right underneath my knees. I'm feeling how level and balanced my pelvis is. Try to keep it there. You're going to use the leg that's on the wall to assist with that. So when I cross my right ankle to my left knee, my pelvis is still in the same position. I'm not hiking my hip over to the side. That's the key to this move. We're going to hold this move for 1 minute. So keep the ankle crossed to the knee if you can. If it's impossible for you to do that, then you can put your foot on the floor and you could do it from here. And that might make it a little easier for you. But again, you want the hips to stay in place. Keep the pelvis in place. Don't elevate it. Again, I'm drawing my right knee towards the wall, using the muscles surrounding my hip. So I'm taking an outward rotation from my hip, but the bowl of my pelvis is staying in place. This move is assisted hip lift. You don't have to push hard on the wall with your foot. That's just a little bit of an assist to stop your pelvis from elevating on that one side. No hip elevation. We're going to switch sides. I love putting my hands on my pelvis just to check myself. I don't want to elevate my hip. Don't want to elevate my hip. So I'm crossing my left knee to my right ankle. Pelvis is still in place. Draw my left knee away from me towards the wall. 1 minute. The only thing that we're changing here, as opposed to both feet on the wall, is just the position of the femur. That's your upper thigh bone. That's it. Everything else should remain the same. Once again, if this is difficult for you to achieve and you can't put the ankle across to your knee, you don't have to have your foot on the wall. You can put your foot on the floor. That's going to make it a little easier to get your ankle to your knee. I think last week we did full hip lift. We didn't use the wall as an assist. It's a tough move. Good. Come on out, everybody. Now have you come to the hook line position anyway. We're going to do pelvic tilts and go back and forth with this one. Oh, of course, I'm wearing black on black on black, so you can't really see. Darn it, can't really see what I'm doing. But we're doing 10 pelvic tilts. We're just going to rock the pelvis back and forth. In fact, I'm going to use this book to help demonstrate that. So we're just rocking our pelvis back and forth, fully in each direction. As I come into an anterior tilt, my lower back lifts off the floor. My head drags down the mat. I tuck under and my lower back hits the floor. Tailbone stays on the floor, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm not lifting up into a bridge at all. No bridge. No bridge, no bridge, no bridge. I'm going to take you guys into goal posts next. Now you've got your option. You can stay here in the hook line position. You can take it into the frog position if that feels good, or you can even take it into static back position if you like that. I am going to go into the frog position, just for me, because I like getting that curve in my lower back. I'm going to bring my arms to our goalpost position. I'm going to turn to the side so you guys can see what that looks like. My arms now look like goalposts. They're in the position of a goalpost. My palms are open, and I'm going to rotate through my shoulders, leaving my elbows at 90 degrees. So my palms come towards the floor. I'm not bending through my wrists to get there. And then I rotate back, my backs of my hands come towards the floor. Notice my hands stay the same distance from my body. If you have a shoulder injury like I do, your arm may not hit the floor. You might feel pain. If you feel bad pain and you know it's the bad pain, don't do this move or don't go so far. You can do this move laying on the floor. You can do this move with your back against the wall. So if you're sitting in a chair and you can't get on your bed, you can't get on the floor, go ahead and put your back against the wall and get this move done. As you rotate your shoulders and the palms come towards the floor, you'll notice both of your shoulders, the glenohumeral joint, is going to pop up towards the ceiling. That's what you want. At the very finishing part of the move, the shoulder joint starts to lift up towards the ceiling. Now I'm so tight in my left shoulder that happens prematurely. I'm working on that, but don't go nuts over what angle or degree that the shoulder starts lifting up. Just go through this motion. We normally don't go through this motion throughout the day. My right arm can actually go through this motion better, and it can touch the floor in both areas. But since my left arm isn't, and I'm looking to get more symmetry in my body, my right arm is hanging back here. Same thing with my pullovers, which we're going to do in a moment. My left shoulder does not want to go through the range of motion yet. So I don't take my right arm all the way through and leave the left arm hanging back. My right arm will follow what my left arm can't do just yet, because we want to keep symmetry in the body, at least for these specific moves. I am going to stay in the frog position. Again, you guys can keep any leg position you want. You can bend the knees and leave the feet flat on the floor. You can try that. You can stay in the frog position, or you can bring your legs into the static back. You can even put your feet on the wall. So many ways you can try this. I'm staying in frog. I'm reaching my arms towards the sky. Elbows stay straight here. I drop the arms backwards overhead. Bring them back over your chest. These are pullovers. And since it's in the frog position, these are called frog pullovers. I'm getting there. I'll hit the floor at some point, but not this month. We're going to do a different form of femur rotations today. It's going to be called wishbone and active wishbone. And as ugly as it might look, I think I'd like to try a wall clock with you. I think I might be able to do that and demonstrate it well enough so that you get the idea. Fantastic, everybody. We are going to head out of pullovers and go into upper spinal floor twist. This is not the easiest move for everybody, but it is a good move. I get a lot of compliments on this move. Everybody loves the book pose. I'm going to show you on my ugly arm. So I'm going to show you on the arm that's a little bit tougher to do. In case some of you have a problem and you have shoulder pain, I'll show you a couple of modifications for upper spinal floor twist. You can also get this done sitting in a chair. It's very simple to sit in a chair and just twist your body in one direction. So we're going to trap the legs. I take my right hand and put it on top of my knees to stack my knees and leave them there. My top arm stays in line with my chest all the way through, and I twist open, let it hang. Most of you are not going to hit the floor. That's okay. If this is too much on your shoulder, you can bend your elbow and rest your hand on your ribs. That's going to take all the weight and leverage off of that shoulder and make it a little bit easier for you. The other thing you could do is lay your arm on a couch if it doesn't want to go down and you feel pain. But if you're okay hanging out in space like this, my suggestion is just hang out and let the tissues resolve themselves. You're going to feel this twist through your back. You're going to feel this stretch through your chest. You're going to feel a lot of stuff. Bottom hip is doing work. You might not think it, but I've had a couple of weak clients in the past. Yes, I did say weak clients in the past. They've ended up getting cramps in their bottom hip because it forgot how to work. So I take them out. Okay, you got a cramp. Come out if you need to, breathe, and then go back into it and the cramp disappears. The body does resolve itself quickly. Just because you got the cramp within the first few seconds doesn't mean it's going to stay there. So give yourself a chance. Okay, we're going to switch to the other side, ladies and gentlemen. Usually we hold these stretching moves for a minute. It's a great idea to try any of the stretching moves for 2 minutes, even 3 minutes, just so you can get the feel for what the move is going after. After another minute or so, your body kind of goes into this next layer and other muscles start to turn on. You really get a fuller sense of what we're trying to accomplish in the move. Not to mention you're giving your body extra time to be in the move, so it's going to benefit you. Brian Bradley, who's the Vice President of Exercise Protocol in Egoscue. He's the big mouth guy who's usually at the Tony Robbins seminars teaching Egoscue. You might see him if you've looked up Egoscue, you probably found him here or there. He explains that using a timer is kind of lame, and he'd rather you count your breaths. About 10 to 12 breaths usually takes a minute to go through. So if you're doing this at home, and you're doing this without my class and you just like upper spinal floor twist, or you have your menu, maybe skip the timer and start counting your breaths. I'm going to take you into cats and dogs, nice easy one. But if you can't get onto hands and knees, you can do this sitting in a chair. All we're doing is arching the back and rounding the back. So you can sit in a chair and arch your back and round your back. Have any wrist problems? You might come onto your fists or go into the chair straight off the bat. Remember, I'm moving through my pelvis, but I'm also making sure that my shoulder girdle follows. So my shoulders are going into retraction, protraction, retraction, protraction. Some of my clients have a really hard time with that due to weakness. Very nice, everybody. Now have you come to the chair? I want you guys to grab a pillow off of your bed or grab a block. If you have your yoga blocks, great. If you have a pillow and that's what you're using today, I want you to fold the pillow in half. Here's my block. I use these blocks that have a lot of resistance. I couldn't crush this all the way if I tried. You want a lot of resistance. So fold your pillow in half or in thirds if you have to. Let me take this layer off. It's a little too much. Okay, so I'm sitting in a nice square chair. Do not couch this one. Do not put yourself in a couch. I want you to sit maybe on a dining room chair. You're going to bring the legs to 90 degrees. The heels are right underneath your knees. Let's move over, make sure I'm in the video. I'm going to put my block or my pillow right in between my knees. I'm going to roll a little arch into my lower back and do that through my pelvis. This is called sitting in extension. So I roll my hips forward. And you'll notice my shoulders put themselves right over my hips when I do that. For you newbies, you're going to cheat if this is the first time you've done this. You're going to lift your sternum. I don't want it coming through your back. I want it to come through your hips. So I like to slouch and then roll through my hips. Pelvis rolls forward. Everything up here stays relaxed. I want you to squeeze your pillow and release it. This is sitting knee pillow squeezes. You find these all the time. This is an oldie and goodie go-to move, sitting knee pillow squeezes. I've seen Pete Egoscue use this to help people with allergies who have this forward head position and their nose and sinus cavity can't drain. I've seen him use this for back pain, seen him use it for hip pain. You could use this for shoulder pain, headaches, most certainly. And the only reason why I say that is if you're getting these symptoms and it's due to the position that your body is in, this can straighten you out right quick. This is a really good move. This one, an air bench. I'm squeezing and releasing over and over and over again. I'm still sitting in extension. So if you catch yourself and you're starting to slouch back, or you catch yourself and you're starting to lift your sternum, your muscles have become a little fatigued. So just take a break, reset with some clean form, and continue. Just put that fan on me. It's hot up here. We are going for symmetry here. So if you're forcefully squeezing the block, you're probably going to create some asymmetry because one leg is going to pull harder than the other. It's going to engage harder. So give 50% of your effort. We want to create symmetry here. We're trying to recruit muscles. Again, symmetry. We're looking for balance. We want to recruit the right muscles to do this job. And it should be inner thighs and even felt in the groin. We're going after the hip flexor, iliopsoas. I'm going to kick you a little bit hard here. We're going to do some sit to stands now. We're going to leave the block or leave the pillow right where it is. I want you to be really clean with your sit to stands. I've got this one client. Every time she goes to do a sit to stand, this is my wheelchair client. She does this because she's lacking that strength. She sits all day. So I want you guys to try. Keep your feet where you put them. Don't try to slide them forward or back or apart or together. Keep them hip distance right where you put them. If you can, interlace your hands behind your head and draw your elbows back nice and strong. I want you to lift yourselves up, not throw yourselves up. I'll give you a barf bucket. I want you to lift. So try not to throw. Lift and come back down. You're going to lean forward a little bit, yes, but I don't want you to throw yourselves into it. There's a big difference dragging your nose along your knees than there is lifting using your legs. And when you sit back down, there's no, let me grab hold of the chair. Nope. Keep your hands behind your head, draw your elbows back hard throughout the sit to stand motion. There's another way you can do this. You can put a strap around your knees. And in fact, we're going to do that next. So I want you to feel what's going on in your body now. Feel what muscles are engaging or not engaging. Forgot to tell you, if this is painful on your neck and you can't keep your elbows back and down, it's going to push your head forward. You can put your hands on your shoulders and draw your elbows back. I had to do that for a while my shoulder was healed. Now I'm a little bit better. So we've got 50 more. I'm kidding. Not a bad idea to do 50 here. It's okay. I want you guys to eye up a strap or a belt. We're going to be using that next. This is my yoga strap or yoga belt. You can take a belt off of your pants. Do not use a PT strap. That thing's made out of rubber and it doesn't have enough resistance. We want 100% resistance here. Take a leather belt. Take a rope off of your boat. You guys nautical? Take a rope. Get that. Take something. I'm putting the strap around my knees. I just put it on like a dress. That way, when I push out, my knees don't go anywhere, but there's a lot of resistance. We're going to sit in extension again, just like I showed you before. I start out with my slouch, and I'm coming from my hips. My pelvis rolls into an anterior tilt. Notice I didn't lift my sternum. Everything is relaxed from my waist up. I did all this from my hips. Press out on the strap and release. Press out and release. My feet are still parallel. My knees are hip distance. My feet are hip distance. This doesn't feel as sturdy as it used to. This thing is old now, but I am not spending $150 for another square of foam. Just wondering if I might need an actual chair in here after a while. It's starting to squish in on me. It's collapsing, and I don't feel as square as I could be. If you guys are sitting on a chair and you've got that similar feeling that it's starting to squish in, get yourselves a hard chair, because it makes all the difference. I'm feeling that it's squishing and it's forcing other muscles to turn on. You want to be very square. This is a form of trapping your body to force certain muscles to work. So you want to be nice and square. Wooden chair, steel chair, not a chair made of cheese like this. Since we're pushing in an opposite direction, before we were pulling in with the knees, so you'd feel it inner thighs, hip flexor. Now we're pushing out. So hopefully you might be feeling it even in the hamstrings, the back of the legs. Hopefully you're feeling it more up here in the muscles responsible for that abduction and external rotation. The glutes, gluteus medius, glutes max, all of these muscles. You might feel just one side turning on. Welcome to compensation. That happens. We are going to do some sit to stands using the strap now, and you're going to feel a difference. It's a big difference between holding a block between your knees and using the strap. So interlace your hands behind your head, draw your elbows back. If you cannot do that, put your hands on your shoulders, draw your elbows back. So I'm squeezing the shoulder blades together. I'm not lifting the sternum to do that. It really is a drawing back, a retraction of the shoulder blades. Ooh, this one's going to be tough for me. Feels awkward. My body doesn't want to get up. Anybody else feel that? Like, ooh, I can't do this. Come on up and sit back down. It's kind of how the body plays between psychology and, I wouldn't say kinesthesiology. It's just kinesthetic awareness. So when the body knows it can't recruit certain muscles, it's going to give you that hesitation of don't take that next step or don't do this. Anybody else notice that? Especially when you get injured. If you're dealing with an injury over a week or so, your body's going to start remembering, hey, we can't recruit these muscles or this area properly. And it creates this hesitancy. And you almost can't tell the difference between, is this just kinesthetic awareness or psychology? Because fear starts playing a role with that. I noticed that over the time that I was injured, and I still do. Couple more, 1,000. Keep the pressure on the strap, everybody. There's a reason for that. All right. Gonna take the strap off now. Take you guys back down to the floor. Let's move some stuff around here. Make sure I got the fan on me because it is warm. It is warm. Okay. I'm gonna take you back down to the floor. I'm going to show you how to do wall splits, and we'll do some femur rotations as well. Let me show you how to do femur rotations facing down first, then we'll take them in another direction. So if you can't get on the floor, get yourselves on your bed. You're gonna lay on your belly. I'll tell you how to do it if you can't lay on your belly too. So I'm gonna lay on my belly, and I'm gonna rest my forehead on my interlaced hands. I'm gonna bring my knees together. I'll show you another angle, don't worry. And dorsiflex my ankle, so I pull my toes towards my knees. My knees stay together as well as I can as I drop my heels apart away from each other and back together. I'm going to show you the other angle so you can see exactly what's going on here. This is called wishbone. This is our wishbone. Your knees are going to start sliding away from each other as you go through this move. So what I want you to do is just pay attention to that and bring your knees closer in towards each other to touch. Some of you who have an anterior pelvic tilt, some of you know that. This move might exacerbate that and might give you a little bit of pain. If you can't do this move, you're going to flip over on your back and you could do a similar move. You can do adduction, abduction, laying on your back as well. But laying on your stomach is going to trap you. And this is going to help a lot of people who have that C curve or the flat lower back, which is the direction that my body is going towards. So remember, if something doesn't feel right to you, if something is hurting, please stop the motion. The move is not for you just yet. So we're opening and closing. Tendency here is for you guys to kind of drop your heels away from your body and then you end up down here. Nope. Keep pulling your heels to your butt. Pull your heels to your butt. Pull your heels to your butt over and over and over again. Keep pulling them in. You'll notice that this form of femur rotation is mostly internal. Internal. And does anybody notice that sensation you're feeling right across your lower back or just above your sacrum? Because of the muscles that we're kicking on here, this actually forces both sides of your pelvis to tip forward in an anterior tilt. This is why when we stand at the wall, sometimes I have you go internal. We stand pigeon-toed, and that actually pulls a curve into your lower back. It's an excellent move for people whose backs are starting to flatten or have flattened. It's just muscles, so it's going to pull your pelvis into a different position. And the more you do these moves, the more your body will remember and it will hold. Wonderful. I'm going to take you guys with a legs up the wall pose, and then we're going to take it into a split. If you don't have a wall, I want you guys to use a door. If you don't have that, you can take it sitting with your back up against the wall, and you can do it in the sitting floor position. But I'm going to go legs up the wall. So you got to get creative sometimes with these modifications. I'm going to show you what it looks like over here, and then I'm going to take myself to that wall because I can't bring my butt flat over here. Here's the kicker. When you're laying on the floor and you're doing legs up the wall, I'd like you guys to be able to come as close to the wall as you can with your butt. But some of you, your pelvis is in such a position that the backs of your legs start to get tight and you end up looking like this. Your butt is actually picking up off of the floor. So if that's you and you're here because backs of my legs are so tight, back up away from the wall. Your tailbone must be on the floor for the following exercises. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to the wall. We're going to pull the ankles into dorsiflexion. Keep the knees pointed right over our nose so our legs are nice and straight. And then we're going to split the legs open. But notice my feet are still parallel. Don't let your feet drop out. No eversion. My feet are still parallel. Got it? Now I'm going to take myself to the wall where I can put my butt on the wall. So I lay on my side, I walk my butt to the wall, then I get myself up. Again, we're laying back down on the floor. If you need a pillow because your shoulders are rounded up, get that pillow. We're going to hang out here for 1 minute, friends. 1 minute in the split position. Make sure your feet are parallel. Shoulders stay relaxed. I feel the questions coming through already. Kim, can I do shoulder exercises here? Yes, you can. You can do pullovers here. You can do goal posts here. You can do reverse presses here. You can do anything you can imagine here. Keep your thighs tight, everyone. I want your knees to stay towards that wall. Even if your butt might not be on the wall or your knees might not be touching the wall, I want you to engage your legs so that they're straight. There might be a few of you that are on the wall like this. You might be a foot, 2 feet away from the wall because that's where you have to be to keep your tailbone on the floor. Gradually, you will be able to get closer to the wall, but today maybe you're not. So you might be doing this exercise like so. maybe. We're also using this as a functional test, everybody. We're seeing how wide you can go. Now, femur rotations. We're going to bring the legs to straight up the wall, straight up the wall. Then we're going to open them just a little bit because we're going to do femur rotations. And as I rotate in, I don't want my big toes banging into each other. I'm keeping the knees nice and straight. So I'm tightening my thighs, ankles are dorsiflex, shoulders are relaxed. I'm moving from my hips. The whole leg, both sides, rotating in, out, in, out, in, out. Like I said before, you can't get this move done. Go ahead and sit with your back up against the wall and your legs straight out in front of you. You can get it done there as well. I don't care if you're on a bed. I don't care. Just get it done. Here we go. So I can bring my tailbone to the wall and my legs can be nice and straight. In and out. This is just our first position. Darn window. This is our first position. We are going to go through 4 positions. This is position 1. This move itself, when you go legs up the wall, is called static wall. Static wall. Do not move your ankles in this move. You got a good view of your feet, everybody. Your feet should stay still. You're only moving from your hips. We're going to open up to our second position. It's about mid-range of the full split that you can go. You just showed me full split before. So go mid-range, not quite all the way. Rotate in, out, in, out. In, out. Do not move your ankles. I got something weird going on with my right leg. It seems to have forgotten how to move. It's robotic. It's it's not smooth. And my ankle wants to turn a lot. My foot wants to invert. And my right hip has forgotten some stuff in this position. So I'm just going to let it remember. Just give it the reps. Give it the reps, everybody. This isn't like bodybuilding. I'm not asking you to lift 300 pounds, but it's probably challenging to many of you. This is a very simple exercise, but challenging. We're going to switch. Not exactly a switch. We're going to move on. I'm going to drop your legs open as wide as they can go. Wow. Anybody notice that they got wider already? Yeah. So I got wider. I had to move away from the wall. Sorry if I'm a little cut off. I have a very wide split at this point. Rotate in and out, same way. This is probably very challenging to do an external rotation because those muscles are already busy abducting the legs. So if they've gone through their full range of motion of abducting the legs, you're not going to have that much more range of motion to go into an outward rotation. So don't be frustrated if you get very little movement here. We're just hitting the ends of the range of motion of your muscles. And the tissues of your body too. Can't just say the muscles, could be end range of motion for some of the fascia. If you have a hip replacement, it might be end range of motion for that mechanical device. Goodness. We're going to come back to the very first position that we started with, legs straight up the wall. And we're going to do one more round there. Remember, separate your feet a little bit wider because you want to leave some room so your big toes don't bump into each other. Remember, we're moving just from the hips. The knees stay straight. I'm tightening my thighs to do that. I'm pushing my heels away from me and pulling my toes towards my nose through my ankle. Through my ankle. I'm not doing that just through the toes themselves. Fantastic. Did anybody notice any changes as we went through all of those ranges of motion? I hope so. I hope you noticed, wow, I could do a little bit more, do a little bit better. I want you to grab a hold of your strap again. We're going to do calf and hamstring stretch. Now, don't let that deceive you. This is not about the stretch. This is a working move. This is a working move. So we're going to grab the strap. If your strap is not long enough and you can't hold both sides of the strap while it's wrapped around your foot, you can put a loop in the strap and just put your foot into the loop. And then you can hang on to the remainder of the strap. It's only if the strap isn't long enough. My strap is long enough. So I catch some of the guys who have long legs. They might need to put a loop in their belt and loop that around the foot. Here's how this one goes. We're going to hold 1 minute in each position. If that's too much, don't do it. Do 10 seconds. I'm starting in the hook line position where my knees are bent. My feet are flat on the floor. I'm going to take the strap around the ball of my foot. Now I'm being really, really strict with the placement of this strap. I'm taking the strap around the ball of my foot to the inside and outside edge. Because what I'm going to do when I'm going to this exercise in a moment, I'm going to try to keep my ankle still and keep it nice and clean to my eye for form. I don't want my ankle inverting, everting, supinating, no twisting. You want it to be nice and clean, nice and clean. So I'm in the hook line position. I'm going to keep my thighs parallel. So my left thigh is parallel to my right thigh. This is not an easy move. Now here's where the work takes place. I'm going to tighten my thigh and use my hip to hold my leg, at least for 80% of this work. 20% of the work can be done with the strap. But as you can see, if I let my strap go, I'm still holding my leg using my muscles in my leg. I'm not using the strap. I'm letting my heel push away from me, and the ball of the foot is coming towards me. So my knee is really straight. My thigh is tight. This is going to force your hip to work. Does everybody feel that? We're staying here for 1 minute, but if you can't hack it for 1 minute, do 10 seconds, do a couple of seconds. We are going to do both legs, and we have 2 exercises for each leg, so try to stay with me. I'm paying attention to the direction that my knee is pointing. I want it pointing straight up. I want my knee in line with my ankle best I can. I don't want to invert my foot, evert my foot. I want that to stay nice and straight. This is like the perfect leg. You're trying to make it like that and then hold it there. See, I could drop my strap and I still have the strength to hold it there. Last 10 seconds. I'm strong enough to go on to the next move after this one on the same leg. So I'm going to do that. If you cannot continue, I want you to do the same move on your opposite leg. So now I'm going to slip the strap to the middle of my foot. Again, if your leg needs a break, just move the strap to your other leg and you're going to take the next minute doing the same exercise. My thigh is tight. This is the hamstring portion of it. My ankle's dorsiflex. I'm using my hip muscles to put my foot on the ceiling. Notice I held my strap really loosely when I did that. I didn't use the strap to get me there. I used my leg muscles to get me there. Now I can use the strap to assist and hold, but I'm doing 80% of the work using my leg. 1 minute we're holding here, ladies and gentlemen. 1 minute. Keep your thigh tight. Try not to push through the foot on the floor either. I'm not doing this. It is not a bridge. I'm using my own leg muscles to put my footprint on the ceiling. That's it. And I'm holding there. Try not to turn this into a stretch where you're pulling through the strap. I really want to focus on engaging the hip muscles to sustain holding you there. Stretches are nice, but that's not what our goal is for this one. We want to go for symmetry, and we want to go for your body to remember how to hold you here. Last 15 seconds. Great, come on out. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Same exercises. So I'm putting the strap across the ball of my foot, making my thighs parallel to each other. This is the calf and hamstring stretch. As you can see, it's a different style than just a stretch. Heel pushes away, thigh is tight. Here we go. If I were to drop this strap, I can still hold my leg. That's the goal. That's the goal. I'm using the strap as a little bit of an assist to pull a little bit of a stretch into it at the same time I'm working. Keep your leg in line with your hip. Don't let your leg come out to the side. You want to create this perfect alignment between your ankle, your knee, and your hip. And there's so many different ways your ankle can twist and turn. Try to be as clean as you can. "15 seconds. Keep the thigh tight. I know you're feeling this in your hip if your thigh is tight, because all of the weight of your leg is now working off of the hip. It's being held by the hip. Once you bend the knee, it turns the hip off. It's like a broken seesaw. Great. Let the strap slip to the middle of your foot, right in the arch. Remember, I'm using my leg muscles to get me up. I'm putting the footprint on the ceiling. Thigh is tight. Here we go. I just caught myself trying to push through my left leg in order to cheat. Be light on your left leg. The leg is just sitting there. The work that's being done is now on your right leg. Footprints on the ceiling. I'm using my muscles to get me there. Hot mess up here. Keep your ankle nice and still. Pull the toes in the direction towards you. I'm doing that through my ankle joint, not through the joints of my toes themselves. I say that because one of my students, who's a wise guy, he could pull his toes into this full extension while not moving his ankle. And so he'd pull his toes towards him while his ankle was in plantar flexion. Crazy. Smart guy. Okay, come on out, everybody. Whew. Hope your legs are all right, not too tired. I'm gonna flip you over to static extension position. We're gonna hang out there. Let's do 1 minute. We'll do 1 minute and I'll give you one more move standing before I run out of time. If you can't come to hands and knees, go ahead and stand at your wall and use the wall to keep you upright. But if you're on hands and knees, here we go. I'm gonna put the palms 6 inches forward. So I put my palm where my fingertips are. Make sure your knees are right under your hips. Now I'm gonna shift my weight forward and drop my shoulder blades together. So if you look, my hips are just 6 inches forward of where my knees fall. I'm not here, everybody. Not here. So it starts out hands and knees, and then I just move 6 inches forward. We're holding for 1 minute. Let your shoulder blades drop together. But if your elbows start bending here and you notice you're having a hard time, just widen the stance of your hands. That'll stop your elbows from bending. It's a little bit of a Band-Aid. Widen your hand stance. Let the head drop. If you guys have Pain-Free at home, that book that's to my left over here, you'll notice this is one of the moves in the menu to help with neck pain. Because what this move does is it turns on your hip flexors. There's a lot of load on the hip flexors right now at this point, but there's also load on the shoulder girdle. And it's getting the shoulders to come back and down so that the placement of the neck is more beneficial. Poor word choice I just used. No, I said beneficial. It will be beneficial when you do these moves. You know what I mean. Man, I stink with my words today. Come on out. Okay, we do not have time for a wall clock, but we're going to do something similar. Let's do something similar. We'll do forearm stretch, and we'll hold that one for a minute. So I'm going to stand here. I'm going to bring myself to a door. This is what it's going to look like. If you could look through a glass door at me doing the move, my feet are hip distance. My palms are against the door and I'm holding at 90 degrees. If you have wrist problems and this hurts, you can't hold at 90 degrees, you're just going to slide your hands a little further down the door. So ultimately, I want to stay in this nice, pretty stack. So I'm going to come about 4 arms distance away from my wall or away from my door and place my hands on the wall. I can go 90 degrees, but you might not be able to. This is where you'll slide your hands down if you can't. I'm going to lean in just like that last move we did. Let my shoulders articulate back. So I'm not hiking my hips forward and I'm not pushing my head towards the wall. This lean in is articulating my shoulders back. That's it. In fact, if I were to do this in yoga and do this on the floor, I'm sure you guys have seen a move like that where you're bearing all of your weight and your head is off the floor and the toes are off the floor. I think they call that one the peacock. I forgot, but yeah, that's what this would look like. So this is a setup for that move. Try not to lift your sternum here. We're just having the shoulders come back and down. That's it. We're just trapping the body in that way. A few more seconds. Similar to the move we just did on the floor. Okay, come on out, everybody. Guys, I'm pretty sure that takes us out of time here. I don't want to go overtime. Sorry we didn't get wall clock done. I'll think about doing that next week. I gave you so many new moves that I could pick from my head. But if you have any questions or you have any comments, please leave them in the YouTube comments section. And I will make sure that I answer them next year. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you next week right here at Levittown Library.